Solana is suffering an outage. It's been an issue that has plagued the blockchain Solana in the past, and it's also not an issue for most other blockchains that have had 0% downtime. So we're going to take a look at some of the indicators here. We're going to take a look at why this might be happening, and there's other news as well. So let's go ahead and dive in. The headline reads, Solana crashes 5% to $83 as team confirms another network outage. And this is accurate. There is a major outage here for Solana. So far, about 3 hours and 22 minutes into it. And yes, this is something that is being investigated. Engineers from across the ecosystem are investigating an outage on the mainnet. Right? So this is very, very important. As of today, this is happening. And this, so far, if we go over to the price, Solana does not seem to be suffering all that much, right? You would expect a much bigger correction here, but that's actually not something we're getting. Now, the reason I think that this could be is because people have faith in Solana, and it's an improvement. So as much as there is an outage today, and as bad as that is, especially compared to its peers, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since Solana has had an outage. And I think that when people are investing in Solana, first of all, there's a lot of VC money. You hear that, right? There's a lot of VC money in Solana. It's true. And VCs are groups, they're funds that invest in a lot of different things. Pharmaceuticals, right? Just internet infrastructure in general, energy. They're very diversified. So understanding blockchain is not necessarily something that is their priority. They have aides for that. They have people like me that they hire to do research, right? But when they hear downtime, they hear, oh, well, there's servers that have downtime all the time. Like, most Web 2 servers, most Web 2 providers in general do not have 100% uptime. That is fairly unique to the blockchain, to Web 3, to crypto. And so it kind of harkens back to something that we don't talk about a lot, which is this. Solana really is popular because it's moving in this vein, right? Mark Zuckerberg famously said, move fast and break things. And there's a lot of truth to this in startups, right? And in technology, right? You don't become Uber, you don't become Facebook, you don't become Google by having everything perfect all of the time. Right? And that's just the fact of the matter, right? You become big because you take risks, and sometimes those risks don't pan out. Now and so that's the way that VCs think, especially when it comes to software, which at the end of the day, yes, blockchain is software, right? It's kind of alien software. It's a step in the future of where software is going, but it is still software. And so money behind Solana is thinking in that way. They value this thought here, move fast and break things. So it kind of makes sense. The other reason why price is not going down is because I don't think you can unstake Solana right now. So people literally can't sell. You also can't sell if you have it in a decentralized wallet and many other wallets, right? There's a lot of Solana that's kind of tied up. My prediction is that we do see a lot more selling today. And I don't think I'll be wrong about that. We'll see. But when this uptime ends, when this downtime, when this outage ends, I do think that we will see some selling. Because I went and tried to sell my Solana today. I tried to swap into Polygon, and it wasn't able to do it. It said that it showed that I had the Solana that I had, which is good. But it did not let me, and I tweeted this out. I tweeted a picture of this out, and everybody should be able to see it. We'll go ahead and jump to, before we get into the history of Solana's outages, because some folks may not know, this is Charles Hoskinson's reaction. Now, Charles Hoskinson is the leader of, Cardano, which is seen as kind of the competitor for Solana, as you can see here, posting a nice little relatable meme here, piling on a very sad day for Solana. So, yeah. If you're tuning now, maybe you're tuning in and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, T-Shroom, I come from software. I'm a developer. I'm investing in crypto, but I don't know a lot about crypto. downtime isn't the end of the world. And if I look here on this website, Solana.com, you can see that it has 99.84% uptime. That is impressive for software, right? And the truth is that is true, right? X.com has had outages, Facebook has had outages, YouTube, we know, has had outages, right? Big websites, big internet infrastructure goes down, right? But the reality is Bitcoin never really has. Cardano never really has. Ethereum never really has. Let me know in the chat. Am I wrong about that? Right? There have been some other blockchains that have gone down, that has had downtime. Phantom is an example that comes to mind, right? There are others, okay? And that's, that's interesting, okay? And maybe the future does look like it is acceptable to have a non-100% uptime. Maybe that's what the future looks like for blockchain. I'm not saying that that can't be the case. Certainly, price is saying that that can be the case. As of today, the markets are saying that it's fine, right? Now, let's see why the markets might be saying that. Because if we go over to the history of incidents, you can see this is February. This is the incident we're seeing right now. If we go back, no incidents. November, last 3 months, right? Go further back, no incidents. No incidents. No incidents for a while until you get back to this time last year. There was cluster instability. It was February 25th, right? So towards the end of February. Then October, there was a degraded performance, right? I don't think that qualifies as downtime, but it's degraded performance. Was Bitcoin having degraded performance that day or that month in October? Right? June, mainnet beta outage. That's what we're seeing today. So the last time that this happened was June of 2022. So hey, you got to give it to them. That's a good amount of time to not have a major outage, right? But then you have months of degraded performance and several RPC nodes down, right? You have some major stability. So before then, it gets ugly, right? And then it kind of crescendos into this main beta outage. But then that kind of whips them into shape, the developers, and they're like, hey, we got to get this right. And, they eventually do. And then we have a lot of uptime, and now we don't, right? So it sucks. It sucks a lot. The question is, am I going to sell my Solana? I tried to. I tried to before I really talked to anybody else, before I watched any videos, which there's not a lot of content out there today about this. I'm definitely not the first voice commenting on this, but I'm going to be one of the first. So I'm trying to give as balanced of a perspective as I can. I'm someone who waited a long time to actually buy Solana after the outages back that I just showed you historically in 2022, and pretty much for a while it's been this way. So they have improved, and they have also gotten very wide adoption because there's a lot of individuals and organizations that are invested in Solana that also have ties to media agencies and have a lot of understanding of how to distribute information and convince people to be persuaded, right? Persuade people to invest in something. They're VCs after all, right? They're usually on the other end of that. So they know how to do it. So it's got a lot of favor. It's got a lot of investment. And it does look like if it can get through this hurdle, my prediction is that Solana continues to be in the top 20. Right? I don't know how far it falls from this event, right? But I do think that it does continue because of this mantra in the startup world, which is move fast and break things, right? In blockchain, in crypto, if that's the only exposure you've had to startups, which don't get it twisted, right? These blockchains are startups. They're startup software in a sense. That is one accurate identification, one accurate category that you can place all of Web3, all of crypto in. Maybe not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is, anyway. Most people in the VC world, on Wall Street, they do kind of view this category as like a startup. So when we use the word altcoin, alt is short for what? Alternative, right? Alternative to what? Bitcoin. So altcoins are an alternative to the Bitcoin blockchain. Whether we like it or not, that's where that term came from, okay? And so when an alternative to the best underperforms, should it be rewarded, right? Should it be valued? That's kind of the question that we're asking. Is Solana over as an alternative to Bitcoin? And I think the reality is that we have to wait and see. In this video, we are literally, hours into this outage, right? It's only 4 hours since the last block was finished for Solana, right? So if it stops, if they get back up here in the next hour or two, this is going to be seen, right? The Solana team is going to say, well, we've had a long time without any downtime. We're going to do what we can to get this remedied, and it's never going to happen again until it does, right? But the thing is that's a pretty convincing argument for folks who are used to investing into web service companies that have downtime. So, okay, hopefully I've explained it to you well of why we're not seeing a huge sell-off in Solana. A lot of the money, is held by folks who have a little bit of a different way of thinking about startups, a little bit of different way of thinking about investment than you do, right? If the same thing happened to Cardano or the same thing happened to Bitcoin, right? I think there would be a different outcome on the price chart, because these are projects where the majority of the people invested, at least from my perspective, expect 100% downtime and as close to perfect decentralization as possible. Solana is, objectively not as decentralized as certainly Bitcoin and Cardano. So, that's just the fact of the matter. You can argue with me in the comments. I welcome you to. Let me know. Try to prove me wrong on those. But I don't know that you'll have much success with that. This is how CoinDesk is reporting on it. Solana engineers to deploy fix as network suffers major outage. Solana mainnet is experiencing a performance degradation. Block progression is currently halted. Core engineers and validators are actively investigating. Okay. So that's pretty accurate from what we've seen. New validator software releases include a patch to address its issue that causes the cluster to halt. Validator operators should prepare for an upgrade and restart of the network, it added. So validators have to be notified. They have to take action, it looks like, which is going to be tricky. Getting all those validators to comply, getting all those validators up and running and unformed, right? So that's going to be tricky for sure. Well, we've got more news towards the back end of this show. We're about halfway through. Obviously, Solana is far and away the biggest news in crypto right now. Solana's downtime. But there are some other news, and there's also some shining stars. HBAR getting a huge move to the upside this morning. This is looks like a 6% move today. Yeah, so doing well. And also, it wicked even higher than that. So it was up as much as 11%. Right on the crypto bubbles for today, though, it's still not visible, which is there it is. Okay, so 4.8 movement to the upside here. ENS still riding the waves of that big collaboration partnership with GoDaddy.com. That's pretty big. XMR, though. XMR is one of the stories I was going to cover here. You saw it here in the bubbles. Maybe you didn't. No, you didn't actually, because I'm hiding it. But you can see here, XMR down 23%. That is Monero, and it was hiding behind me. I apologize. But if we go over, I'm going to actually let Jenna X break this. And Jenna X said Binance delisted Monero, RIP privacy token. So it does look like we are entering into a new phase of crypto where Binance is delisting Monero, right? So that's, take that for what it is. It's pretty interesting. I'm honestly not super surprised that this was eventually probably going to happen, especially on Binance, which is now no longer under the, leadership of CZ, who was kind of a purist and probably wouldn't have let this happen. So we'll see. We'll have to see how that pans out. Jenna X is going to be on the show on Tuesday next week. So definitely be tuning in. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we go live with Jenna X at 3 p.m. on the 3 p.m. show. So that's going to be a ton of fun to have her on. I don't think she's ever been. We've done spaces with Jenna X, but I don't think she's ever been on the show. So that is going to be really, really cool to have her on. Let's take a look at some other charts here. Let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is starting to really, it's really getting my attention in terms of consolidation. I mean, this has been a prolonged period of consolidation. We saw it here. We saw some serious consolidation here with the test lower that ultimately broke to the downside, right? When buyers were exhausted and finally let that price come back down. Bitcoin got back up to pretty much those same levels, around 42,000, and we could see another sell-off, right? But this consolidation, you can see the blue Bollinger Bands kind of pointing inward. That spells a breakout, right? At some point, there's going to be a breakout, whether it's to the upside or the downside is what is what folks are trying to predict. Now, of course, down here with the Lux Algo Oscillator Matrix, we can see that the money flow is starting to move in the right direction for Bitcoin on the 4-hour. Okay, we got a green reversal dot, which is nice to see. But this hyperwave has not yet exceeded the previous highs here. So we want to see that get up and above that and even cross that 50 line. That is going to be pretty bullish. And by then, Bitcoin probably gets back above that, definitely gets back above that midline of the Bollinger Band on the 4-hour and is more than likely off to the races. If we don't get that, then probably more sideways movement or even downward movement. Okay, Ethereum starting to show what I want to see on Bitcoin, right? It's finding a good place, a good price above the midline of the Bollinger Band there on the 4-hour. The Lux Algo Hyperwave looking very different. Now, there's a pretty big catalyst going the way for Ethereum, which is obviously that ENS GoDaddy partnership. Now, let's turn to the chat and let's see what's being discussed. I can't imagine it would be Solana. Just kidding. Let's see. RS Crypto said 1 more day until the decision of the triangle. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, you can on Bitcoin you can draw a bit of a triangle here just to give everybody a bit of context. If I draw it out here, ba-boom, ba-boom. Oh, there's my fibs come launching back up. Right. So something along those lines. I don't know why you would say only 1 more day. I guess that's just a prediction. I mean, this has quite a bit more time in this cone. Maybe you're talking about a different triangle with lines back here. That could potentially be the case. RS Crypto, thank you so much for tuning in though and showing us what you're thinking. Right, ETH cycle soon. Yes, I'm thinking that ETH any day now is going to be pumping pretty big, especially with this ENS pump. Question, back in October, ENS led the pump, right? I don't remember that being the case. I'll be honest with you. I don't remember that being the case in October. It could be, though. It could be. Let us know in chat, bros. Was that the case? Got Crux of Crypto throwing up the heart. All right, here we go. We got to take Rico the 01 said, go put your money in blockchains that's not being used. Okay. They have 100% uptime. Let me know how many X's you make in the bull run. I keep my money in Solana. Gotcha. So a little defensive Solana there. And that has been the criticism of a lot of other blockchains is that they're dead chains. Solana is not a dead chain, right? Clearly, it's had a lot of activity. And it in a lot of, I can't remember the metric right now, but in some metrics, it's actually exceeding Ethereum's activity. You know, but you gotta stay up. There's a lot of blockchains that do not have downtime. Veteran saying, this is why Cardano is the best. All right. EDYPT said, indeed, I like XRP, bro, but I'm waiting to buy it. I think ADA has more potential right now because of how much undervalued it is. Then I probably buy a little more XRP. So that is an interesting approach to crypto right now. There's a couple of things in there I think the market would disagree with, pretty much diametrically oppose that position. However, I think that there could be some truth to that. I don't know that I would rotate back into XRP, though, myself. But we do have some XRP holdouts here in the chat, it seems. Brian D said, I safely sold during the FTX fiasco, but bought it all back and more under 22. I'm assuming you're talking about Solana, and that is a really good entry for Solana. All right. All right. Guys, don't worry. This is for some time. Stop with this FUD. I don't know. I don't think this is FUD. How can you do that if you don't know whether or not the chain is going to up and run today? Shaking my head. Yeah. We don't know. We don't know how long Solana is going to stay down. As of right now, it looks like it's still down. There are no, let's see if there's any new propagated blocks here. I'll even refresh Solana.fm and see no new blocks just yet. So still down. It's also indicated here, not there. Here, still major outage, and it is now 3 hours 22 minutes. I think that's what it said last time. So 3 hours, almost 4 hours, here with this. So not good. No bueno. Crypto Raiken Soto said, I don't hold Solana, but this is making huge moves. From 24 now to over $100, easy buy. Yeah, so that's going to be kind of a question here, guys. Is like, so going over to the Solana charts, let's kind of map out what could potentially happen here, right? So we've got this downtrending line of resistance down here on the 4 hour. Personally, and I could be wrong about this, right? This is a little bit of a tough spot for analysts because, this is technical analysis also while during a very major fundamental story, right? So there's a difference between fundamental and technical analysis. Fundamental is usually driven by news and events, right? Solana having a very big news day today, bearish news. But the TA is also showing that Solana probably could come down and at least test this downtrending line of support, right? Which would put it, if it dropped all the way down today, which there is a case for that happening, it would put it down at $85 per coin, which isn't crazy to think about because it was just there in January, right? Just weeks ago. So I think 85 is probably in the cards for Solana. And then we have some support back here where Solana's price actually bounced off of back at 78. So that's a potential other kind of next price prediction to the downside for Solana. And then below that, I'm just drawing these right off the cuff. You do have a decent amount of support like right around in here. Oops. So right around in here at 66. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Again, this would not be a bad time to try and trade this event. But you have to be careful. Make sure you keep your stop losses tight. I think right around here, 65 is more of that price range, somewhere in there. I'm not counting this because as you can see, there's just not a lot of confluence with this high back here. Whereas back here, there's a lot more touch points. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So anyway, we can draw lines all day. Tim on the 3 p.m. show is going to be drawing a lot more lines. Hopefully, Solana will be back up by then, but let's see. Crypto Billy in the chat said, on November 22nd, 2022, I bought Solana for $12 per coin. That's impressive. By December 22nd, 2023, so just over a year, it was a 900% return. I don't use the ecosystem, but from an investment standpoint, nothing performed better in 2023. Well, other than Caspa. There were definitely coins that performed better, but I see what you're saying, Crypto Billy. Of the top, probably 20. Yeah, definitely. Right? And that's a testament to that VC thesis that is different from the crypto bros, right? The crypto natives, the guys who are they love Bitcoin, right? They're in further out on the risk curve into crypto, right? Is that at the end of the day, a lot of us crypto bros, we just don't even think about like software standards of investment, which in software and in servers, right, there's an acceptable amount of time for downtime. That's how VCs think. And I do think that they will probably do. I don't think they're going to let this go much further than $65. That's my prediction. I think $65 gets bought here. I think that, again, that this mantra does not go away easily, right? Mark Zuckerberg continuing to show that this is a mantra that works, right? If we go and we look at Meta's price, Meta has had an insane, oh my gosh, it's having another gap up today. All-time highs for Meta, right? Mark Zuckerberg in this, basically this mantra that started it all off has been true, right? And investors in Wall Street, they look at this price chart and they say, this is what's going to happen with Solana because they move fast and they break things, right? They're not paying attention. The uptime is not their priority, right? Adoption is their priority, right? dApps, building on Solana's blockchain rather than Cardano or Ethereum. That is their priority, and VCs like that. A little bit of downtime is something that does not ruffle their feathers as much, right? So we'll see. I mean, there's going to be a lot of Solana unlocked, unstaked, and potentially sold when when the blockchain gets back up from its downtime, and we shall see. I'm interested to see, how other shows cover this, and how other voices kind of comment on this. Most folks are still asleep in the United States. I'm here. I have the luxury of living in the East Coast, New York time, right? So I can kind of wake up and give my perspective and see. So I'm trying to give as balanced of a perspective as I can. But my initial thoughts when I saw these headlines, I wake up every morning, I read the news, obviously, so I can package it and bring it to you all. My first thought was I need to sell. I need to get out. And I tried to, and I couldn't because the blockchain's down. After doing a lot more research and calling and talking to Tim and kind of seeing how other folks are reacting, right, I don't know. I'm not so sure that I'm going to sell. Because I have such a small allocation anyway, right? I've been very slow to acquire Solana, and I do regret that because, I mean, look, Crypto Billy just had 900% returns in 2023, right? It was one of his best performing assets in his portfolio. So I do kind of regret not buying it. But at the same, I've been in crypto long enough to know that regret is not worth feeling because as long as you have Bitcoin, and you have some other altcoins that you feel confident in, Chainlink, Ethereum, Cardano, right? Then you're going to do well. That's how bull markets work. Polygon, Atom, So there's a lot obviously that people are bullish on. But Solana taking a hit today. All right, one more headline here, guys, as we wrap out. Breaking news: China SCI 1000 index surges 7%. We'll take a look at it here in a second. After Chinese President Xi discusses stabilizing markets with regulators. Interesting. So not stimulus here, according to Kabesi, regulators. The CSI 1000 index is on track for its biggest single-day gain in history, I bet. This comes after nearly $7 trillion of value was wiped out of China's stock market. Goodness gracious. Not even short-selling bans and various stimulus measures were able to stop the crash. Did President Xi just set the bottom? He may have. So let's go over to that price chart. This is the CSI. And you can see a gigantic bounce. Now there look like, and that is 7%. It looks like 9%. So that's impressive. But it looked like there was a pretty precipitous recovery back here. Yeah, there was. This was not the pandemic. I don't know what this was, but this was insane. This is a pretty big move here. Just back up to the Bollinger Band, right? That's 9% back in 2022, summer of 22 for China. So they're definitely no stranger to volatility in their markets, but this is scary, right? And it's a lower low, right? It's a major lower low compared to back here. So let's read on. Yeah, well, that was it. Yeah. So China CSI 1000 surges nearly 7% as government attempts to stabilize markets. So nothing in here saying anything about stimulus. Much of the recent weakness has been concentrated in small-cap Chinese stocks. Markets are looking for signs that Xi pledging to support these small caps. Support that stimulus. Until then, we expect volatility to remain elevated. So I'm looking for that S word, stimulus, because that equals Bitcoin go up. Also dollar go up, so it is more complicated than that. Let's see how the Dixie's doing this morning as we wrap up. Because the Dixie has been kind of on a tirade, been testing that 105 level. Let's see how it's been doing here. You can see historically, the Dixie has been kind of on a downtrend, but has recently been testing higher, trying to find some resistance. Likely it will definitely find resistance here at 105.3, right? But right now it's just trying to get into the 105 region, which I do not think it's penetrated through even with these wicks yet. Yeah, no. So it's still got a ways up to go. And with every tick higher, this is bearish for Bitcoin. But the question is this overbought? Is the dollar overbought right now? Can it go much higher? I don't know. I think as we have, more headlines like this, the dollar could cool off, right? If Chinese stock market does get some stability through regulation or stimulation, I think the dollar, well, if it's through stimulation, then the Dixie goes higher, right? If it's through regulation and they're effective in that, it's sad, because what does regulation mean? That sounds painful to the people, right? But ultimately, the dollar does correlate with Bitcoin. So, we kind of want to see money rotate into Bitcoin rather than the dollar, obviously. All right, guys, let's see. Just as we wrap up, Eric Wallen saying Cardano is the most annoying community. There you go. So there's Eric Wallen's take. A mellow fellow said, "Fact, Jenny. Only time the world's going down excite me are when they come from." Oh, okay. I'm not gonna finish that one. I'd hold. Let's see. Gustavo said that was when the first news of Evergrande came. Yep. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. That's helpful. That's helpful, Gustavo. That was that big, shock to the downside for the SCI, the CSI 1000. Is Gustavo helping us out there? That's true. Very helpful. All right, guys. I think I'm going to call it there. Colin said XRP community is the most delusional. I didn't say it. Colin said it. Solana. You got to do better than this. You got to do better than this if you want retail investment, because there's too many better alternatives. And at the end of the day, Solana is an altcoin. I do think Solana comes back from this. If they can get, it kind of depends how long the downtime is here. But I do think that the majority of the investment into Solana is thinking, this is okay. This is startup software as usual. And as Mark Zuckerberg set the tone, you got to move fast. You got to break things, and investors have to be okay with those broken things, with things being broken from time to time. Trying to be balanced here. Personally, I was very scared when I saw more downtime for Solana. I was thinking, what does this mean for crypto, right? So this is the tone right now, right? Moving into 9:30 into market open. However, I think the tone could potentially change, right? The Bollinger Band for tone today around crypto is very wide. People could be getting very bearish on crypto in general, or they could, Solana could snap back and be like, hey, we're going all-time high. We'll see. There's a lot of possibilities. My tone right now is balanced. I need to see much more. I need to see the blockchain come back online and see what price does. Does it go back all the way down to 65? Does it go lower? Does it not even get down to 65, right? Because ultimately, like I've said, I think that the money in Solana is a little different from the money in the rest of the blockchains. The one I'd keep my eye on is AVAX. I think if Solana does start to really tank, I think AVAX gets a lot of rotation, and Cardano gets some rotation, and Polygon gets a lot of rotation as well. Thank you so much for joining me and Tim at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be going live, and I'd love to see you there. The tone's going to probably be very different from this tone. Hopefully it's bullish, because we don't want to see a major blockchain like Solana go down, right? At least I don't. We'll see you at 3 p.m. Stay hydrated. Keep those stop losses tight. Adios.
Trying to make paper. Turn that better to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper. Turn that better to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.